of the great things about the Carolinas is we have a destination for just about anything you want to do. This show is all about, well, getting married in the Carolinas. And boy, do we have some wonderful places. We're going to share a few of those with you during this episode. We're also going to visit with Charles Babb. Charles is a world-class ring designer. And well, he's one of the first guys we need to see when we're going to propose. I think you're going to love this show. This episode of Life in the Carolinas is brought to you in HD by Hampton Inn Suites at Phillips Place. Closed caption brought to you by Moosehead Grill, home of Uncle Donnie's national award-winning wings.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, Charles. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hope you are.
Well, I'm doing great, and I'm really excited to finally visit your home.
Well, welcome to 114 Church Street.
Well, I can't wait to hear about how you became a world-renowned designer.
Well, let's talk.
Tell me about the absolute love of your life.
Actually, a friend of mine came to me one day and said, hey, there's somebody I want you to meet. You know, that day in history, that day in my life, you know, it changed always for the better. So we were set up kind of on a blind date. And, you know, it was, I won't say it was love at first sight, but when you see her green eyes, there's something magical about the green eyes, and there's just a special passion that she has.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good, good.
Charles has been telling me all types of things.
I know. Don't believe anything he says.
Now I get the rest of the story.
I'm going to check on some castings.
Okay, great.
I'll see you in just a little while.
Thanks, Charles.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Let me ask you that. I got to start with this.
Okay.
How did you and Charles meet?
Well, actually, it started out as to be a blind date. A friend of mine came to where I was working one day, and he said, I have a friend that just got out of the Army, and would you like to go on a blind date Saturday night? Right. I said, I've never been on a blind date, so no. I don't want to go. So later on that evening, my friend pulls back into the parking lot where I'm working, and he has his friend with him in the car. He's got these camouflage pants on, the black combat boots, and the green t-shirt, and so he gets out of the car, and I'm like, I'll go on a blind date with you.
But it's not blind anymore.
It's not blind anymore. I said, I'll go on a date with him.
How does your day start? How does Charles Babb get his energy flowing?
I'm very sold on having my quiet time. I get into some yoga, meditation, and most every morning that's the first thing I'll do.
How long has yoga been part of your life?
I would say for the last 5 years.
Okay.
You know, and it's really been and it's growing. I mean, it's something that when I don't do a meditation session in the morning, I'll know it. I'll know it by lunchtime. You know, I'll start feeling maybe a little more stressed than normal or anxious about something. It's because I haven't really centered myself.
You've discovered this part of your life a little bit later in life, but your outdoor experience, that's been there since childhood, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I grew up actually as a Navy brat. So I grew up in Puerto Rico, and we didn't really have TV. You know, I spent pretty much every waking moment outside. I was at the beach, I was at the pool, I was riding my bike, I was hunting land crabs, I was doing something, you know, in the outdoors.
Do you think because of that foundation you just shared with me, I noticed that a lot of your rings, it's like they're flowing. There are a lot of waves, there are a lot of movements there.
I love motion.
So we are products of how we grow up.
We are, yeah, most definitely.
So Charles, how did you become a designer?
So it's been over 30 years that I've been in the industry, whether it was in a retail position or as a goldsmith and then of course now as a jewelry designer.
So you've been doing it for 30 years, but others have been doing it for centuries, right?
Exactly. It's not, these processes are not brand new. Now the technology has evolved tremendously. I mean, years ago, to cast a ring, it was in a can full of sand and you swung the gold over your head.
Wow, that's incredible. So when we think about the iconic Egyptian imagery of how they would have made all of that ornate jewelry, it was made like that?
They used a lot of that process and hammering of metals and working the metal down from just a cast bar or slab, if you will.
Where do you get your inspirations from? How did these ideas come to you?
A lot of it comes from nature. I pretty much grew up in the Boy Scouts, so I learned a really healthy respect of nature. And if you look at nature compared to maybe a downtown environment, you see different geometry, you see different flow, you see different patterns as opposed to the straight lines of the city. There's been several instances like Charleston, when you see the ornate architecture, the scrolls on the gates, those are very inspiring. I designed a ring at one time using the cornice from a building in Asheville. I put it actually as a border around the ring, and it turned out really neat. Many years I spent in that trade of being a goldsmith. For several years, I worked as a wholesaler.
So you were learning various aspects of the business.
Exactly.
There. Okay.
Some things that he sees that comes to him, I would have never seen it unless I was looking at through his eyes.
Right.
The past 30-some years, we've seen a lot of folks get married. Charles has designed a lot of pieces. It's just rewarding to see, because a lot of women don't want to have something that thousands of women have. So you want to have something special that's made just for you.
Right.
And it means a lot to the brides when their fiance comes in and they take the time, and it's not trouble, but just take the time to come in and sit down with Charles and say, I want something special for her.
So what did the two of you do for your most enjoyable times?
When we travel, our fondest memories are when we've traveled to the coast, or we travel out west and we do some hiking or what have you. So we're very compatible in that regard. So we really have created this wonderful balance between the two of us. But for the most part, we're exact opposites, But they say opposites attract, so that's where we're at with that.